Hi, Duncan. Obviously, for competitive reasons, I'm sure there were things you couldn't say during the Boston series, but now looking back, how limited were you? Were you 20% of your normal self? I know it's a random number we're trying to come up with here, but just, thoughts.
You, after watching, you felt like it was 20. I mean, you might not have been far. Uh, yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too much into it because just having a conversation tends to lean towards an excuse. But I'll say this: towards the end of the season, really that Philly game, and it was something I've kind of been dealing with prior to that as well. But then obviously that Philly game sort of being an inflection point, the first one in Philly. There were a million different thoughts, theories about how to proceed, the best route, the best way to handle it. Uh, I was just going to try to do whatever I could to be available. And, in hindsight, you might be able to, depending on how you take it or approach it, people could probably paint a picture of what I should have done, this, that, whatever. Certainly don't have any regrets. You know, I certainly feel I would have had more regrets the other way if I didn't try to be available. So just in general, looking back on the year, trying to maintain some perspective over the entirety of the year. Obviously, you compete the whole year for the postseason, and that was a bitter way to finish the season for us first and foremost, obviously, but then for me also. Uh, Dealing with emotions, frustrations, challenges that I've been fortunate enough to not deal with thus far in my career. But going through those, learned a lot about that process. And this was a very long-winded answer to your pretty simple question, but I figured this answer also probably answers some of the other questions that some people might have. So we'll leave it at that.
I had one more question on that.
Sure.
What have they told you is the best course of action just moving forward to get the back
Yeah.
where you guys want it to be? Is it just rest, or is there something more that's
Yeah, it's just rest, and it's not something that I don't think anybody anticipates will linger and last. The challenge with rest in an NBA season is you play every other night, and that's that was ultimately it. Of it. I think a lot of guys in that locker room are this way, so I'm not trying to paint myself as some unique individual, but like I didn't want to rest. Essentially, I wanted to try to give in to whatever I could to the team, and some days it was more limited than others, and that's just the nature of what I was going through. So, like I said, man, it's a learning experience in a lot of ways. So.
Dunk, you got some votes this year as most improved. Do you think you improved, or do you think you just got back to being you?
Uh, I I think from like a public facing standpoint, I improved, right? Um, I would push back on got back to being me as well, because that would imply that I, in theory, left or was somewhere else. Um, yeah, yeah, I've maintained it myself. Yeah, I think the biggest thing, the area of improvement was the mentality, and the culmination of a lot of work that wasn't just, people want to look at a year that you make a jump and point to the previous summer, like all of a sudden this past summer I did all these things that I'd never done before. I'm a very routine oriented person. I basically did the same thing that I've always done, and I've stayed true to you make tweaks and adjustments, and um, throughout an off season, of course. But I think the biggest thing was the mentality shift, and I think part of that comes with experience. Part of that comes with maturity, being in this league for a little bit longer, and confidence, man. It's huge. It's compounding. You experience a little success doing something, and it grows. And I think that was really what it was, to be honest with you. And the goal is to keep pushing it. Off season, same sort of thing. Get healthy, but then keep building it and come back a better version of myself. I just turned 30, which is crazy, but what might even be crazier is I still think I'm far from a finished product. And maybe a lot of people say, whatever, 28 to whatever is your prime, but I feel like my prime is still ahead of me. So we'll see.
Duncan, you guys ended up finishing top 5 in defense again, but the offense has not been highly ranked in a long time. You've been part of some of the better offensive lineups here, but what do you think it's going to take for this to become a top-tier offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think the intention is there, and I think that the personnel is there. Truthfully, I think a big part of it is continuity, establishing a level of rhythm. So much of offense is, you can only run so many sets, and it's got to be just sort of basketball acumen and intelligence that you grow, within a group, and you got to have some level of continuity. And this year we lacked that. Had different stretches of the seasons where we were really playing different ways on offense, and it's not anyone's fault. It's not coaches, us, whatever. I mean, obviously it starts with us players. We got to figure that out. But I do think we have all the pieces and tools this year, and hopefully in future years, to be a good offense. And I mean that's ultimately ultimately falls on us as the players to really figure that out.
Duncan, what would be your message to fans about appreciation for them showing up this season and creating a great environment for you guys at home?
Yeah, I mean, this is a special place to play. Been very fortunate to call this, my home arena for as long as I've been in this league, and I truly think there's nothing like playing here, especially in front of a packed house. Obviously, there's a lot of pain and sort of regret in how things unfolded, and we would have loved to have really made a run in the postseason here, because I know how special that is. We didn't always play our best in this building, which is unfortunate as well. And I promise, the intentions, for whatever this is worth, probably not much. The intentions were always, we want to perform for this crowd and make this a really tough place to play. But we just, obviously everyone saw we weren't able to do that, especially in the postseason. So, we'll obviously get back to the drawing board and try to come back better, stronger next year. Thanks.
Jaime, two things. I know the season just ended, but what was the biggest learning moment, I guess, for you, would you say, from the rookie year? And have you made any decision yet about playing with Mexico this summer?
I would just say the biggest thing I would take away from this season is learning the importance of just taking care of your body and health and your mind. I think that's probably the biggest thing to learn, is that it's a long season. Your health is very important, mental, physical. So always got to keep that in check. And as far as playing for Mexico this summer, I don't think I will be playing this summer. Yeah.
I mean, I know it's early, but just looking back on this season and being in so many different roles and playing so many different styles, is there anything that you're looking into the offseason saying, I want to do this and improve on this for next season, something specific?
Yeah, I would say a lot of things. Just being able to be a lockdown defender, I think, is one of the things I'm looking forward to being in my coming years, and as well as just a consistent knockdown shooter, are probably the two biggest things for me.
Jaime, what would your message be to fans about how they showed up this year, your experience with them, and the environment that they created for you guys here at home?
I mean, they did a tremendous job of always showing up for all the games. The energy was always great. We felt the noise and the energy throughout the entire season, so we really appreciate the fans for coming out and supporting.
I mean, you kind of burst onto the scene in the first couple of months, and the team started to adjust. We talked about how you were probably showing up in the scout more. What changes did teams make defending you throughout the season that you can now think about for the summer and think, well, now I can do this to counter that?
I would say sometimes they would try to send two, be prepared for the trap, especially down in the post is where I think the report was out on me. So just developing counters and reading defenses and understanding how to still get to my spots.
Hi, Mike. Can you just kind of talk about in your very first season, just learning under guys like Jimmy, like a Bam, who's obviously the team captain this year, just especially just learning from those guys. What how was that sort of in your rookie year?
And it's been great just having such a experienced group of veterans around me. They have so much experience, so to be able to learn under them and take what they're giving me, it's just been huge, and I think it's given me an advantage. Being able to play in my rookie season, just learning from guys like that. All right, thank you.
Hi, Caleb. You've been so productive, obviously, for 3 years with the Heat at this point, with a very high payroll. It could play out as it did with Max and Gabe, where the team might not be able to afford you. Have you begun thinking about the real possibility that this could be it for you here because of that?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't thought about it much. Obviously, it's the time to, for some of that stuff to be thought about and conversations to be had. But yeah, I think about that. But like you said, some things we'll just, have to see as it goes. I don't have any answers or anything to know as of right now, and more just still kind of just appreciating the season. Obviously, didn't end the way we wanted to, but just still trying to enjoy that and just enjoy being here with the team and figure that out as it goes.
Caleb, obviously with the past couple seasons, even Spo said you guys are not maybe even used to kind of having this much time off, especially because you guys went deep in the playoffs. Can you just talk about the general frustrations and how you're approaching the summer, summer ahead?
Yeah, obviously since I've been here, this is the first time we've had been done early. So this is everybody wants a break until you get it, and you don't really realize, the sacrifice you take with getting more time off is that means you're in it early and you're not playing as long as that you want to. So I just think that, you take that and based on how you feel and however it hits you, it hits everybody a little bit different. But I think if anybody will approach this summer and approach next year, in a way to where they want to continue to keep playing and not be done so early and also find ways to it starts in the beginning of the year, it starts in the summer, and it starts all throughout the regular season in order for us to put ourselves in a position to to be able to find a way to play later. So I think that'll be the approach all of us have going forward.
Caleb, what would a message be that you give to the fans about your appreciation for them showing up this year and the environment that they've created here at home?
Yeah, it's always love to our fans and the spark and energy they bring to the arenas every night. I hate it for the fans that we didn't get to. I feel like me personally we didn't get to give them the ending that they deserved, and because we've been in the arena where we've given them a show to really cheer for and for us us performing in a way to gets the whole city excited. So I just hate that it had to end like that, but hopefully there's a way that we can go into the next season and have the right approach and get it done and put ourselves in position to where we can bring that back.
Caleb, you started off the season banged up a little bit, and then I think you slowly kind of got back to yourself. But then for the third straight year, it feels like you were playing every role. Sometimes it was week to week; it was a different role. What did this season feel like just for you personally, and what kind of a journey was it for you?
I feel like there's a lot of things to be proud of. I'm my toughest critic, so there's obviously a lot of things that I'm holding heavy to me personally, and obviously as a team. So obviously not ending the way that we wanted to is gonna weigh heavy on me for the rest of the summer. And there's games and opportunities I've had that I probably didn't capitalize on. So I'll be thinking about that all summer, going in my player development. But it's always it's tough to always I'm not the best at giving myself credit and with that type of stuff. But there are a lot of things to still be proud of. Me finishing up my 5th year and still being able to be a role player, rotation guy, in this league with this organization. So a lot of things to be grateful for too. So trying to find a way to balance that as much as I can. But but I will. There's a lot of things I will make sure I'm attending to this summer.
Caleb, I know you mentioned certain decisions coming up in the off season. And you always talk about this time of year. You love competing in the playoffs and everything like that. How much does that factor in terms of wanting to win, wanting to play and compete in May and June? And so
I think some of the toughest things to do is sit here and watch everybody else play, and everybody else get those moments that you feel like you should be playing and you should be having, and just continue to watch other teams play and understand how many missed opportunities are week in and week out as they keep playing and as we're at home watching. And I think with a lot of us, a lot of guys from last year too, built their name off those moments. And so I think that's gonna be tough for a little while to to accept. But part of getting to where you're trying to get to, you need moments like this too. So it's not all highs in this league, as everybody knows, and you need those lows in order to propel you to where you're trying to get. So it's humbling, especially after the last 2 years that we've had, at least since I've been here, and it's humbling to end like this. But I always believe that stuff happens for a reason, and to put us individually and as a team, organization, into a better spot going forward.
Caleb, it's 2 straight years the offense hasn't been where you guys want it to be. Where do you kind of see room for improvement, areas for growth on that end of the court for the team?
It's tough because we had a lot of moving pieces. Like I said, I'm not gonna be one to make excuses on who's playing, who's not. Like whatever it is, it's just ultimately we're out there, we're playing, and we have enough to win, and we got to make the right enough plays and enough shots in order for us to advance. So we just miss opportunities, miss shots. Probably, whether it was confidence, whether it was just the flow of the game, and some of that too, you give credit to a good team who made things difficult. So, but I think everybody will say that. At least for me, I'll speak for myself. I got to be better and find a way to impact the game better, and make it easier on the guys who deal with much harder tasks, with like Tyler and Bam and those guys. Whenever Jimmy's out, so I gotta find a way to be better for those guys and be better for myself too. So that's been the story all year for them.
Caleb, like Coop said in his question, you were a little banged up at first, and you missed one game from like mid-January all the way to the end. And I know you play through lots of stuff where normal humans would not be playing basketball.
Appreciate it.
How frustrating is it though at times when you show up at the arena for games and you don't know who's in or who's out? And I know a lot of that is luck. I know you can't control injuries. It's not like guys are deciding like I'm going to sit tonight. I'm not saying that at all, of course.
Yeah.
But how frustrating is it that you were with a different group? It seemed like every night.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was, I think a lot of it's mental too. Like, obviously, I know there's a lot that goes into the chemistry part, and with different lineups and having to build that chemistry to where you get to to where you're getting into the postseason. That a lot of that stuff matters. But I mean, my approach has always been the same. It doesn't matter who's playing, who's in, who's out. My role fluctuates all the time, and that's something I've been used to. But it does, but it doesn't. At the same time, I kind of know what I need to do and how I need to do it. I think that if it's frustrating for anybody, I'm sure it's coach, because he's got to figure out a way to put things together and figure out a scheme and a different way he wants to approach the game. So I think if anybody is frustrating for, I'm sure it'd be more him than someone like me. It's just, I roll with the punches. That's just what I do, and that's what I've been doing. So that's it. Yeah, appreciate y'all.